That's a good sign.
Right.
Good sign.
Take your seats, we'd like to start. My name is not Rabbi Milgram, and even though it's 7:30, we're going to start on time. We're very pleased to have everybody here tonight. Thank you so much for coming. The reason that we usually do this concert, we've done this concert now about 15 times. I want to explain to you what this concert is all about. The Daniel Pearl Foundation has had for the past 15 or 16 years what's called Daniel Pearl World Music Days, and it's around the time of Daniel Pearl's birthday, which is October 10th. So the concerts have expanded in the month of October, but this year the holidays are in October. The Jewish holidays are in October. They're not early, they're not late, they're right on time. So we weren't able to really get a good date in October, so we worked out to have it at the end of September, and that's why we're having the meeting tonight. So we're so happy that all of you are here. So I'd like to introduce Rabbi Eisenkramer, who'd like to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. I want to start just by wishing everyone L'Shana Tova U'Metuka, a sweet, happy, and healthy new year as we enter the year of 5785. And really pleased. I want to say a thank you to Andy and the Daniel Pearl Education Center for putting together our concert this evening. And I'm told some of these songs were before I was born, but we're not going to get into that. They said it, not me. I'm just letting you know. He said it when he came up to me. Anyway. But I just want to wish everybody a happy and healthy new year and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
So we've had a variety of programs this year, which we've been very successful, and we want to thank all of you because a lot of you in the audience tonight have participated in most of what we have done. We had a great talk about 10 days ago, and the golf outing was a very successful golf outing, and we've had a couple of other programs this year, and our yearly trip to the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington was tremendously successful. We've done that now for about 20 years, and I used to say that we took 1,000 kids. We've actually taken 2,000 people to the museum, mostly children, and it's been really our most important program all year long. So now I want to explain to you about Daniel Pearl World Music Days just a wee bit. You don't want me up here. If you go to the Daniel Pearl Foundation to see who has performed for them, you'll find a list of very famous people. And the important part about it is that they do not charge; they're not paid for this. This is completely voluntary on their part. So we've had a lot of interesting folks, and now tonight again they're doing this strictly out of the goodness of their heart, and we really thank them for coming and participating. So. I'm hoping that all of you have wet your whistle. Make sure that you have your voices are ready to go, because this is this is the first time we've done this type of a concert. It's going to be a sing-along. The words will be up here if you don't know them. I'm going to be depending on a few people who I see in the audience to make sure that they're singing good. And I'm going to make sure that he sits over by you so that you drown him out. That's a long time joke. Don't worry, he knows. My wife is like jumping under the table. And so, but that's an old joke between the two of us. So without further ado, okay, I'd like to introduce to you Larry Walford and Tom Devine, and we're going to have Salty.
This has gone down.
Push the button.
Just went to sleep.
Not going to dance while this is coming up.
Just went to sleep. It'll turn on. Here we go. Wake up.
There it is.
Well, we figure you know these songs anyway. So we're going to start, and please join us. We're taking you back into the, maybe if you don't know it, your parents told you about it. I love you. My happiness. Hello, happiness. I love you. My sleepless, hello, emptiness. All the time, bye, my love, goodbye. There goes my baby with someone new. She sure looks happy. I sure am too. She was my baby till he stepped in. Goodbye to romance that might have been. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, happiness. Hello, loneliness. I'm gonna cry. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, sweet caress. Hello, emptiness. Feel like I could die. Bye-bye, my love, goodbye. I'm through with romance. I'm through with love. I'm through with counting the stars above. And here's the reason that I'm so free. My loving baby is through with me. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, happiness. Hello, loneliness. I think I'm gonna cry. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, sweet caress. Hello, emptiness. Feel like I could die. Bye-bye, my love, goodbye. Bye-bye, my love, goodbye. Bye-bye, my love, goodbye. Well, welcome everyone to our sing-along. We are the group SALTY, which stands for Sing-Along, S.A. with Larry, that's me. That's me. And the Y, that's you. So we're counting on you. And we have a great lineup of top hits from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I thought we'd take a little quick look back at some of the major events and people during that era. So if you remember in the 50s, Fallout Shelters, the first McDonald's, Elvis, 3D movies, and hula hoops. In the 60s, we started with Kennedy's assassination, the Beatles at Shea Stadium, Apollo 11 landing, and Woodstock. The 70s, unfortunately, Kent State, but we had Saturday Night Live, 3 Mile Island, and of course, Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's record. So, you know, as I said, you'll be pleasantly surprised with, and remember the words to a lot of the songs that we're going to sing, but just in case you don't, and you have a little senior moment like I have occasionally, as we've just done, we're going to put the words up on the screen for you to sing along with. And that is provided that we've got the timing reasonably well. So keep your fingers crossed. Anyway, I hope everyone brought their singing voice. So get prepared for a fun evening. It's going to bring back a lot of memories and the songs that really celebrated our generation.
We got started with the #1 hit from 1957. So I can see a lot of you may not remember that. Larry remembers.
Yeah,
that.
my father told me about it, you know. I'm like the rabbi. We don't remember, you know, that far back. In any event.
That was the debut recording by Don and Phil Everly, better known as the Everly Brothers. The song reached #2 on the US Billboard Pop Charts and even made it on Rolling Stones magazine list of 500 greatest songs of all time.
Who knew, right? Well, moving forward, we're going to dish out music in the form of mini sets, and this one consists of top artists, but you know, some of their songs, but because it was early in their career, they were made famous by other artists. And the first song was actually written by Paul Simon, and it was interesting because his first album, Wednesday Morning, 3 a.m., was considered a failure. He and Art Garfunkel, it only sold 3,000 copies in the first 8 months following its release. So he went to England to make it as a solo artist, and he kind of befriended a guy by the name of Bruce Woodley, who was with the group The Seekers, you might remember. And together they co-wrote a song that The Seekers actually recorded, but it was the group called Circle. And if you notice, it's Circle. you know, they turned it into a hit that reached #2 on the Billboard chart. So it's called Red Rubber Ball. Think you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
I should have known you bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well. Now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. If I never hear your name again, all the same to me. I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. For secrets I can hide. For you, I'm just an ornament, something for your pride. Always running, never caring, that's the life you live. Stolen moments of your time were all you had to give. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Stories in the past, nothing to recall. I've got my life to live, and I don't need you at all. The roller coaster ride we took is nearly at an end. I bought my ticket with my tears, that's all I'm gonna spend. I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, wow. All right. And I feel woke up a couple of people. Don't worry about it. Well, next up is the song "I'm a Believer," which was actually, we talk about. Oh, by the way, there was something about this. Paul Simon said it was the worst song that he ever wrote. So anyway, next up is a song called "I'm a Believer." It was written by Neil Diamond, and it wasn't long after he was still working for $50 a week in the Brill Building as a songwriter. The Monkees.
Yeah. The Monkees were the US answer to the Beatles, and Don Kirshner was looking for a song for them. He liked Neil Diamond's Cherry Cherry, so he looked to Neil Diamond's album for a song, and he found "I'm a Believer." The Monkees recorded it in 1966 and hit the #1 spot on the US Billboard chart for the week ending December 31st, 1966, and remained there for 7 weeks, becoming the biggest selling single for all of 1967.
Now, the Monkees actually benefited from the fact that they had a TV series, and the song also made it onto Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. And this was the Monkees' second single. They had another hit with The Last Train to Clarksville, and it was released during the first season of their TV series. So,
Yeah, it seems like it's working out.
you ready?
Thank you.
I thought love was only true in fairy tales, and for someone else, but not for me. It was out to get me. That's the way it's been. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. When I saw her face, now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. Oh, I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried.
I thought love was more or less a given thing. Seems the more I gave, the less I got. What's the use in trying? All you get is pain. When I needed sunshine, I got rain. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. Oh, I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. Love was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Disappointed on it, all my dreams. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried.
You want this? Yeah, I just said. All right, footnote, the Monkees sang on this, but they didn't play any instruments. The producers used session musicians because they were not convinced the Monkees could play like a real band. Obviously, this became a huge point of contention later as the group fought to play their own songs.
Well, part of what we're going to do tonight is we're going to cover, contrasted songs. So you have I'm a Believer on one side, and the other side's going to be this song, The Great Pretender. It was recorded by the Platters to really test your memory, and it was released as a single all the way back in November of 1955. And the words and the music I thought were really interesting when you see how it was created. It was created by the manager, Buck Graham, and he said that he did it, and he wrote it in about 20 minutes inside the washroom of the Flamingo Hotel. And he said he was trying to find something as a follow-up to the success that they had with Only You. And he had boasted to another record producer that he had a song that was even better. And he said, well, what's the name of it? And, he kept fumbling around, And in any event, he ended up coming up with this particular song. And he, believe it or not, even though he had made the claim that it would be number one before he'd even written the first note to it, it ended up that way.
Platters performed The Great Pretender and Only You in the 1956 musical film Rock Around the Clock. It was also in the film American Graffiti. The song was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame and also inducted into Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time.
So join us, The Great Pretender. Remember this one? Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender. Pretending I'm doing well. I need this stuff. I pretend too much. I don't believe I know one can tell. Oh, yes, I'm a great pretender. Adrift in a world of my own. I play the game, but to my real shame, you left me alone. Reality is feeling nothing, believe what I feel with my heart can't conceal. Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender. Laughing in game like a clown. I seem to be what I'm not. You see, I'm wearing my heart like a clown. Pretending
that you're still around. To feel this feeling of make believe. Feel what I feel, what my heart can conceal. Oh yeah, I'm the great pretender. Laughing and gay like a clown. It seemed to be what I'm not. You see, I'm wearing my heart like a crown. Pretending that you're still around. Still around.
Well, we previously heard the Monkees talking about believing, and it really became a common theme for them. And another offspring of which was the song Daydream Believer, which was actually composed by John Stewart shortly before he left the Kingston Trio. That's John on the right, for those who don't know him. And Stewart said it was a song perfectly geared to us because it was all about suburban life. And he said, you know, I recall that I went to bed thinking, what a wasted day. All I've done is daydream. Well, although the song was turned down by two of the more famous groups, the We5 and Spanky and Our Gang, it did reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts back in December of 1967. And then it was there for a good couple of weeks. So obviously some people turned down, came to be a very popular song. So Daydream Believer.
Oh, I could hide the wing of a bluebird as she sings. 6 o'clock along the terrace, but it rings and I rise, wipe the sleep out of my eyes. My shaving razor's cold and it stings. Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it be to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? You once thought of me as a white knight on the sea. Now you know how happy I can be. And our good times start and end without $1 to spend. How much, baby, do we really need? Cheer up, sleepy Jean. What can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Yeah. One more time. Cheer up, sleepy Jean. What can it be to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it be to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen?
Talking about dreaming, Dream Lover, there's a microphone there. Talking about dreaming, Dream Lover is a song written and sung by Bobby Darin. Neil Sedaka played piano for him on the song. It's about yearning for someone to love so you don't have to dream alone.
And every night I hope and pray, love her on my way. Hold in my arms and know the magic of the charm, because I want a girl to call my own. I wanna dream of her, so I don't have to dream alone. You love her, where are you? Love, oh so true. And the hand that I can hold near, as I will hold, because I want a girl call my own. I wanna dream of her, so I don't have to dream alone. Someday, I don't know how, I hope she'll hear my plea. Someday, I don't know how, she'll bring her love to me. Lover, until then, I'll go to sleep, dream again. The only thing to do till all my lovers' dreams come true, because I want a girl to call my own. I wanna dream of her, so I don't have to dream alone. Don't make me dream alone. Beg you, don't make me dream alone. I don't want to dream alone. You guys are sounding better.
Well, in contrast, there are those relationships that really can never be, or if they are, they don't last for a long time. There was a guy from the Monkees called Michael Nesbitt, and he wrote a breakup song called Different Drum. And he offered it to his group, the Monkees, and the producers of his TV show turned it down. Well, in 1967, it was recorded by the Stone Ponies, which at that time featured Linda Ronstadt. And they took it to number 13 on the Billboard chart. And it was really her first, I wish I could say the name. It was her first time that she was on the charts that high up. Now they. Try this way and see if this one works. Okay, I think we got it. Okay, so we're gonna do a different drum.
You and I travel to the beat of a different drum. Oh, can't you tell by the way every time you make eyes at me? Oh, you cry and always say it'll work out. I'm a funny child, I'll come down now. You can't see the forest for the trees. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm not getting, it's just that I'm not in the market for wants to love only me. Yes, and I ain't saying you ain't pretty. All I'm saying is I'm not ready for any place or thing. Find the full rain in on me. So goodbye. I'll be leaving. I see no sense. Trying to breathe, and then we'll open the bottle longer if you live without me. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I knock it, it's just that I'm not in the market for a boy who wants to love only me. Yes, and I saying you ain't pretty. Oh, I'm saying I'm not ready for any person, place, or thing to try and pull the reins in on me. Oh, goodbye. I'll be leaving. I see no sense in trying and grieving, and we'll both live a lot longer if you live without me.
Thank you.
Well, knowing that a large portion of the retired people, and I see some of you might be retired, with the exception of Sandy out here, will never retire. They head south for the winter, or some of the younger families, they tend during the school break to take trips. So the next mini set really revolves around the trip going to various places southbound.
So fall foliage and quiet country lifestyle, the Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah Valley of West Virginia, courtesy of John Denver. Before the song took off, Denver's best hit was Leaving on a Jet Plane, and which Peter, Paul, and Mary took to their only #1 hit. He left the Chad Mitchell Trio and went on his own with a 4-album deal with RCA Records and Tapes. First 3 albums did not prove very successful. Then, while sharing the stage with a duo called Fat City, they collectively wrote the music to Take Me Home Country Roads. And the rest, as they say, is history.
So take a trip with us, and we're going to go back to the countryside of West Virginia.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountain, going like a green country road. Take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. All my memories gather around her. Miner's lady, stranger to water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. A misty day, still moon can shine, teardrop in my eye. Country road, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, country. I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country road, take me home to the place I belong. Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mama, take me home. Country road, take me home. down country road. Take me home
Last time.
down country road.
A little bit of trivia, the Fat City co-authors later became two members of the Starland vocal band who had a hit with their song Afternoon Delight. And we're not doing that, sorry. Since they came from New England, Take Me Home Country Roads is almost about Massachusetts rather than another fellow four-syllable state like West Virginia.
Well, we're going to continue on our journey going south, since I know it must be getting cooler out there. And we have in mind the same place that James Taylor spent much of his youth. Now, he was actually born in Massachusetts, but he spent most of his youth in North Carolina. And, you know, it was interesting. Here's another little piece of trivia. James Taylor was one of the first independent artists signed to the Beatles' Apple record label. And while there, he produced an album that effectively was so understated that it was almost unnoticed. Well, some of the songs in particular reflected his homesickness for North Carolina.
Released as a single in 1969, the song earned critical praise, but not commercial success. Nevertheless, it's become a staple of James Taylor's concert performances over the decades and is one of the most covered contemporary folk songs of the time, including covers by none other than John Denver and the Everly Brothers.
Yeah, just the same two that you just heard. So join us, and we're going to go back to Carolina in my mind.
In my mind, I'm going to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? It's just like a friend of mine. Hit me from behind. Yes, I'm going to Carolina in my mind. How can you see the silver sun? You best walk her way and watch her shine. Watch her watch the morning come. Save a tear, appearing now I'm crying. I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. There ain't no doubt in no one's mind that love's the finest thing around. It's for something soft and kind. Hey, baby, the sky's on fire, I'm dying, they die. Going to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm going to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Ain't just like a friend of mine. It may be from behind. Yes, I'm going to Carolina in my mind. Dark and silent late last night, I think I might have heard a highway call. East and flight, dogs that bite. Signs that might be omens, say I'm going on to Carolina in my mind. With a holy host of others standing around me. Still I'm on the dark side of the moon. And it seems like it goes on like this forever. You must forgive me if I'm up and gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm going to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Baby, just like a friend of mine, hit me from behind. Yes, I'm going to Carolina in my mind. Going to Carolina in my mind. Going to Carolina in my mind.
Well, this song is actually strongly tied to the geographical place. In fact, Carolina, in my mind, was called the unofficial state song for North Carolina. And it's also the unofficial song at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. And it's played at all their athletic events, pep rallies, and even at their graduations. It's become Taylor's most critically praised songs and one with great popularity and significance, particularly for those audiences.
Okay, not warm enough for you? Let's go to the Florida Keys. In 1967, Jimmy Buffett wrote a song about a drink that he discovered actually in Austin, Texas. The song reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, the highest of his career. And Margaritaville has been inducted into the 2016 Grammy Hall of Fame for its cultural and historic significance. Who knew it was possible to alcoholic drink?
Yeah, so we were going to celebrate this with the drink. Because as Jimmy Buffett says, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So join us at Margaritaville. Living on sponge cake, watching the sun bake. All of the tourists covered with oil. Rocking my 6-string on my front porch swing. Smell of those shrimps, they're beginning to boil. Wasted away again in Margaritaville. Searching for my lost shaker of salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's nobody's fault. Don't know the reason, stay here all season. Nothing to show but this brand new tattoo. But it's a real beauty, Mexican cutie. How it got here, I haven't a clue. Wasted away again in Margaritaville. Searching for my lost shaker of salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I think it could be my fault. Blew up my flip flop, stepped on a pop top, cut my heel, and the cruise on back home. There's booze in the blender, and soon it will render. The frozen concoction that helps me hang on. We said it away again in Margaritaville. Searching for my lost shaker of salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's my own fault. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know
It's my own animal.
Well, here's another news flash for you. You know, researchers have found what they believe is Jimmy Buffett's lost a shaker of salt. And it was reported missing all the way back in 1977. And although some people said that there was a woman to blame, you just heard his confession. It's him.
Finally, if you want to go further south, head to the Bahamas aboard the sloop John B. A transcription of this song dates back to 1916, and a version was included in Carl Sandburg's The American Song Bag in his 1927 collection of folk songs. It was made popular by the Kingston Trio in the 50s, but Al Jardine of the Beach Boys, against the advice of some of his fellow band members, decided to record it, made a slight change in one of the lyrics. See if you can pick it out.
Yeah, we're going to be testing you on this. There's a difference between the Kingston Trio's version and the Beach Boys. And we're going to be testing you and see whether we can, you guys can figure it out. Let us know. You ready?
Come on the sloop John B. My grandfather and me. From Nassau town we did roam. We get all night. Got into a fight. Well, I feel so broke down. I want to go home. Voice of the John B. sail. See how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore. Let me go home. Let me go home. I want to go home. Well, I feel so broke up. I want to go home. Mate, he got drunk. He put in the captain's trunk. The constable had to come and take him away. Sheriff Johnstone, why don't you leave me alone? Well, I feel so broke up. I want to go home. So hoist up the John B. sails. See how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore. Let me go home. Me go home. I want to go home. Well, it feels so good. I want to go home. Well, the poor cookie got the latest. Cool away all my grits. Then he went and he ate up all of my corn. Let me go home. I want to let me go home. Yeah. It's the worst trip I've ever been on. So hoist up the John B. sail. See how the mainsail sets. For the captain ashore, let me go home. Let me go home. I want to go home. Well, I feel so break up. I want to go home.
So did you guys figure out what they changed? No, huh? Anyway, there are instances where when people are away from home for extended periods of time, and sometimes it's even against their own will. And going home can really be a daunting proposition because you don't really know how well you're going to be received. Well, one such instance may be due to a lapse in judgment that might have a brush with the law. Well, the next song was written in 1958 by Sonny Curtis. It was recorded a year later when he had joined the Crickets, taking the place of Buddy Holly on the guitar. However, it was popularized by this group called the Bobby Fuller Four, and it became a top 10 hit for the band in 1966. The version of the song was also on the Rolling Stones list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, as well as being named to the 500 songs that shaped rock and roll by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So if you listen carefully, you might think it could have been like this.
Breaking the rocks in the sun, I fought the long and the long, I fought the long and the long. I needed money 'cause I had none. I fought the law and the long one. I fought the law and the long one. I left my baby and I feel so bad. Against my face, she's the best girl that I ever had. I fought the law and the law. I fought the law and the law. Robbing people with a 6 gun.
Hold on, that's politically incorrect. But on top of that, we're in a synagogue and the 8th commandment says, you know what it says? I'm going to remind you about that. Thou shalt not steal. So I have a little adjustment to this. So bear with me. I think we have a better way to approach people, you know, of the communities here. You ready?
Okay, let's try it.
Okay, here we go.
Breaking clippings in the sun. I fought the law and the long one. I fought the law and the long one. I cranked that motor, but it won't run. I fought the lawn and the lawn one. I fought the lawn and the lawn one. Now I'm so weary and sick and tired. I look from sun to sun. And all I get is crab grass and dandelion. I fought the lawn and the lawn one. I fought the lawn and the lawn one. Well, I strode would get the job done. I fought the lawn and the lawn one. I fought the lawn and the lawn one. But Briggs and Stratton don't make a dent. The job is never done. The motor's broken, the blade is bent. I fought the lawn and the lawn one. I fought the lawn and the lawn one. I fought the lawn and the lawn one. I fought the lawn and the lawn one.
That's why we live in a senior community. Someone else takes care of the lawn.
Getting back to the idea of going home after years of incarceration, here's a song reflecting that concern of uncertainty, if you'll be welcome. It's sung by Tony Orlando and his group Dawn. You'll remember it.
Well, the origins of the idea of the yellow ribbon goes really back all the way to the Civil War, when a soldier wrote to his beloved and asked whether if he was welcome, and to prove that he was, she should tie a handkerchief around a certain tree. Well, in October of 1971, newspaper columnist Peter Hamill wrote a piece for the New York Post. Remember that? It was called Going Home. And in it, you know, he told a variant of the story in which the college students on a bus trip to Fort Lauderdale during the break made friends with an ex-convict who was watching for a yellow handkerchief on the roadside tree in Brunswick, Georgia. Well, Hamill, had this story created into an ABC TV aired dramatized version of the story, if you remember, with James Earl Jones. And it really inspired this song, except that the composers felt that the handkerchief wasn't particularly romantic, so they changed it to a yellow ribbon.
They first offered the song to Ringo Starr, but Al Steckler of Apple Records told them they should be ashamed of the song and described it as, quote, ridiculous.
Yeah, however, it did reach #1 on the US charts for 4 weeks. Unbelievable when people, tell you it's not going to work and you prove them wrong. So come with us. I'm going to tie a yellow ribbon.
I'm coming home, I've done my time. But I've got to know what is in mine. If you receive my letter telling you I'd soon be free, then you know just what is you. If you still want me, if you still want me. Tie the yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. It's been 3 long years, do you still want me? If I don't see a ribbon round the old oak tree, I'll stay on the bus, forget about us, put the blame on me. If I don't see a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. Bus driver, please look for me. 'Cause I couldn't dare to see what I might see. I'm really still in prison and my love, she holds the key. Simple yellow ribbons, what I need, set me free. I wrote and told her, please. Tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. It's been 3 long years till you still want me. And if I don't see a ribbon round the old oak tree, I'll stay on the bus, forget about us, put the blame on me. If I don't see a yellow ribbon round the old tree. Now the whole damn bus is cheering, and I can't believe I see a yellow ribbon round the old tree. I'm coming home. So they meet home.
Well, if you look at the calendar, it's going to be really close now that we're going to have Halloween. And, with that, it's going to be, as I say, there's certain representations about it. And I think, the best one is really the moon. However, full moon is normally a happy sign. But once you put a witch on a broomstick, it kind of foreshadows perhaps some bad omens. Like this song from Creedence Clearwater Revival.
See the bad rising. I see trouble on the way. I see earthquakes lightning. I see a bad time today. Don't go around tonight, when it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the I hear hurricanes blowing I know the end is coming soon. I hear the rivers overflowing. I hear the voice raise growing. Don't go around tonight, it's bound to take you alive. There's a man on the rise. You got your face together. Oh, you are quite prepared to die. Looks like we're in for stormy weather. One eye is taken for an eye. Don't go around tonight, it's bound to take your life. There's a man on your line. Yeah, don't go around tonight, it's bound to take your life. There's a man on the right.
You know, one thing that always surprised me about that song, it had such an upbeat tempo, and it's such a depressing song. You know?
The other image is that of a witch, which brings to mind the Wizard of Oz and the song Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, which we're not doing. But I thought a more positive song about witches might be more appealing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, The Witch Doctor is a 1958 novelty song. It was performed by David Seville. And Seville wrote the song, and he was inspired by a book, believe it or not, called Duel with the Witch Doctor. It became a #1 hit, and it really rescued one of the record labels, Liberty Record, from bankruptcy. Now, in the song, the singer asks a witch doctor for romantic advice because he's fallen in love with a girl, and the witch doctor replies really incredibly in a high-pitched, squeaky voice with a nonsense incantation, which we're going to hold you to. And it was made more popular as Alvin and the Chipmunks started doing it because his voice was right there. So join us with this. Here are the words.
I told the witch doctor I was in love with you. I told the witch doctor I was in love with you. And then the witch doctor, he told me what to do. He said that ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. I told the witch doctor you didn't love me true. I told the witch doctor you didn't love me nice. And then the witch doctor, he gave me this advice. He said that ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. You've been keeping love for me just like you were a miser. I'll admit I wasn't very smart. So I went out and found myself a gal that's so much wiser. She taught me the way to win your heart. My friend, the witch doctor, he taught me what to say. My friend, the witch doctor, he taught me what to do. Know that you'll be mine when I say this to you. Ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
Phil, you could translate that one for me. I really appreciate it, you know.
Now, on Halloween, kids call on homes of people they don't know, some of which may have included a family such as this one. The Addams Family is a fictional family created by American cartoonist Charles Addams. They originally appeared as a series of 150 unrelated panel cartoons, about half of which were originally published in the New Yorker between 1938 and 1988.
50 years, that to me is amazing.
Yeah.
50 years as a cartoonist and still having the ability to produce new pictures. And they've since been adapted to, other media, including, as we know, television, film, video games, comic books, a musical, as well as merchandise. Well, the Addams are really a satirical inversion of the ideal post-war American middle-class nuclear family, an odd old money clan who really delighted in macabre and are seemingly unaware or really unconcerned that other people may find them bizarre or a little frightening. Well, we've been doing sing-alongs, but right now we're going to ask you to bring along your percussive instruments and play along with us. And by that, I mean, if everybody can do it. So this is how it's going to work. Okay, one more time.
Okay, you got it.
Be and the cookie, mysterious and spooky, all together cookie, the Addams Family. House is a museum when people come to see them. They really are screaming, the Addams Family.
Neat.
Sweet. Petite. So can a witch just crawl on a broomstick you can crawl on? We're on a day of fall on the Addams Family.
Thank you, guys. Really good job. Well, finally, we want to end with a song that's considered really one of the most popular sing-along songs of all time. Now, Neil Diamond's music is really timeless. Certainly, it's gone from generation to generation, and I got the feeling that people will be singing Neil Diamond songs for a long period of time, especially Sweet Caroline. Now, this was written back in 2019, and believe it or not, was selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Recording Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, and also made its way into the national pastime.
Song's been played at the National Football League's Carolina Panthers as a victory song at all home games since 1996. Fenway Park, home of the Red Sox, since at least 1997. On opening night of the 2010 season at Fenway, the song was performed by Neil Diamond himself. Several days after the Boston Marathon bombing in April 2013, Neil Diamond led the crowd at Fenway Park in a rendition of the song that he said he would donate his royalties from those sales to the One Fund Boston charity to help people affected by the bombings.
Now, I know there'd been a time, particularly during the beginning of the pandemic, where, as they said here, due to COVID-19, Sweet Caroline was banned, and there will be no touching hands, reaching out, touching me, and touching you. But trust me, things are a lot better now. So we're going to go with Sweet Caroline, and feel free to do any of the above. Just be careful with whom you do it. Anyway, here we go. All right, good now.
Where it began, I can't begin to know it. And I know it's going strong. Wasn't it spring? And spring became the summer. Lead you along. Put your hand, reaching out. What you need, sweet Caroline. Times never seem so good. I can't incline to believe they never would. Now, look at tonight, and it don't seem so lonely. They fill it up only two. And when I first put one's on my shoulders, how can I learn holding you? Oh, touching warm, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, times never seem so good. I can't incline to believe they never would. Sweet Caroline, times never seem so good. And inclined to believe they never change.
Fine. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Tom. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's great. It's the first time we ever did something like that. I'm so happy that all of you were able to come. I want to remind you about a program on next Sunday. I don't know how many of you know about the program on October 6th to commemorate October 7th being put on by the Federation in the heart of Central Jersey in Marlborough. You have to go online. There might still be tickets available.
It's sold out.
Have you tried?
I got tickets last time. I know. Paul Dan was there.
Yeah, Paul, Dan Rosette at the Federation is in charge. Daniel Pearl Education Center is one of the sponsors. Tell them that, tell them that you know me. Or you can, let me know and I'm gonna call him and see. There's gonna be a lot of people there. There's gonna be about 500 people there, so get there early. So, once again, what's that?
Encore.
We have an encore.
All right. Yeah, indeed. Let me give you a little background. In 1918, there was a gentleman by the name of Israel Blaine. Anybody know who he is? You better know him as Irving Berlin. And he composed a song that was really part of a review that he wrote. But he later decided that it really didn't fit in well with the rest of his review and he put it aside. Well, 20 years later, on Armistice Day in 1938, 20 years later, he revised it and he reissued it and let Kate Smith be the chief bearer of the message, God Bless America. Well, by 1940, Woody Guthrie was so tired of hearing the song on the radio in the glorified image of America that he decided that he wanted to compose something a little better. And he had had an experience with the Dust Bowl in the 1930s and the racism, the classism that followed the immigrants and the blue-collar workers around during the Depression. So with that in mind, Woody Guthrie wrote a new song of patriotism. And with our nation really at what I believe is at its most divisive state since the Civil War, I thought it was important to remind everyone that this land is made for you and me. So join me on this song. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest, upstream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that regular highway, I saw the bee, and in the skyway, I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. I wrote that ramble and I found my footsteps on the sparkling sands of the diamond desert. And all around me, a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was snowing, and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling, and the fog was lifting, our voice was chanting. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. My land was made for you and me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Tom. This was fantastic. We had a great time, just like you advertised, it was gonna be great. So thank you all for coming. We were told that not to do these